Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan AGAJAINIAN Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping here at the Hollywood Museum in the historic Max Factor building, and waiting to be profiled are artist Roland Reiss and diva soprano Julia Migenes. Award-winning artist Roland Reiss has had his show of his works all over the world. He's the recipient of 4 NEA grants. He's earned a Bachelor of Arts and a Master's at UCLA, where he went on to teach. He also taught at the University of Colorado and for many, many years at Claremont Graduate University. Because of his teaching skills, he was awarded the College Arts Association Award for
Distinguished Teaching of Art. Yes,
yes, that was so great.
I'm very pleased with that.
Distinguished. I mean, how great. How did they go back and find that?
Well, people begin to propose that, and there are committees at College Art Association that begin to review things. You know, there are so many wonderful teachers. I owe everything to the great teachers I had. So,
because you went back to UCLA, right?
well, I went to UCLA. You know, the teachers I had at UCLA started with Stanton McDonald Wright and Bill Bryce and Sam Amato, and I had such wonderful teachers.
They
and
were?
And of course, they didn't get awards, but
No, but
there's
that
so
was
many
great.
deserving teachers, what I'm saying. So I was pleased that I got one out of the many, yes.
And those teachers were dealing with color. Stanton McDonald, lots of
Oh,
color,
sure.
right?
Oh, sure. I love color, too, yes.
Yeah, and you always used color.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
So take us through a graduate class. We're talking. Do you have do they have to audition to be in your school?
Oh, well, they have to apply, and you know, they're reviewed, you know, and letters are required and all the other things. Of course, I'm not there anymore.
No, but I know you're
But,
not. But
I loved it. You know, 30 years I chaired the department at Claremont, and there were courses, but mainly the instructions by individual appointment. So you'd spend a half an hour to an hour with a graduate student, and it was just a wonderful kind of conversation where every 2 weeks you'd be in there talking to them about what they were doing and exploring, you know, issues concerning
how
their
many
work.
usually in the program?
There are usually about 40 to 50 in the program.
Oh, very big.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was that big.
Well, I believe in a big program because they feed on each other. They learn from each other as well as from the faculty. You know, at the graduate level, a lot of them are very, very good.
And are they already showing?
Oh, some are showing, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And what do they study? Sculpture, painting, everything
All
else?
of it, all of it. Everything going on in art today is happening in graduate schools.
And then as the head of the department, did you bring the teachers in or the artists in or
Oh, sure,
to
yeah.
teach?
Well, we had, you know, I believe in a very democratic program, so, and they're still running the program that way. So students have input as to who comes in,
Oh, they
who
do?
teachers
To
are.
teach, really?
Yes, absolutely. And it's so they feel part of the community and they get choices they want. It's not all about the faculty stuffing things down their throat. You know,
That's
it's a
very-
cooperative involvement.
But that's probably why the Arts Association gave you an award, because it is large. It's expanded.
I think so, and you know, maybe some of the kinds of ideas that were at work there that they saw as interesting.
Well, you taught in Colorado and you taught at UCLA as well.
Yeah.
Was it the same kind of subject matter?
Well, you know, I was early at UCLA.
Yeah, let's talk
and
about
so
it.
things were changing. Well, I was just leaving UCLA, so that was very quick and very brief. And it was a traditional kind of program with some wonderful teachers in it, you know. And they gave us exposure to some people even outside, so it led me to being able to actually work with Rico LeBrun a little bit and things like that.
But when you were teaching or when you were in school? Actually?
As I was leaving school.
As you were
at
leaving
UCLA.
school.
Yeah. But then I went on to Colorado, where it was a similar kind of program, but things were beginning to change. You know, and I think, you know, one of the great things about it was coming out of World War II. When I went to Colorado, there were still a lot of World War II veterans. I was a Korean veteran, you know.
So were
you know,
they artistic? Did they have this passion for
well,
art?
sure. They were very serious. So, you know, study became ever more serious in the art schools, and the idea of professionalism, not just studying to be teachers, but studying to be professional artists.
Right. That's what
And
I was
now I
wondering.
think it's reversed in most programs, you know, where people are studying to be artists and then they may also teach.
And were you working at the same time you were teaching?
On my own work, absolutely.
yeah,
you know, I'd
that's
stay up
how
all
do you-
night and go and teach the next day.
I was going to say, how do you have time to do that? And where does the creativity come from? Do they influence you as much as you're
Well,
influencing them?
I think good teachers, it's a two-way street. You know, you give to the students and they give back to you. They keep you alive all the time.
So we go back a long time, back to Cirrus.
Yes.
And that's when Cirrus Gallery was fantastic. It really has a part of the history of LA.
Yes.
And you were a part of that history.
Yes.
But Cirrus was one of the first people that had a California look, let's say that. And what was that California look?
Well, I don't know. He wasn't looking to New York for what was underneath the work.
Yeah, right.
For what was underneath the work. It was just whatever was happening here, you know, is what came out. And, you know, I know when he took on my work, miniatures, it was a stretch for him because he hadn't handled work like that before.
It was sculpture. It was sculpture,
Yes.
but it was on the wall as
Yes,
well?
yes.
So they were miniatures. And I was just saying, I go to in the gym up at Nancy Krasny's house. She has 2 of those miniatures on the wall. So I get to see them every day.
Great,
and they're
great.
like little tableaus, little living rooms and little... How did you come about doing that?
Well, you know, I'd been a non-objective painter for a lot of years at a retrospective show in Denver. This was in 1969. I was disappointed in a funny sort of way with the work. I felt like I'd empty out, because it was about reducing things to essences, you know. I mean, some of the last of the best of that work is at Diane Rosenstein's gallery right now.
Right now you have a show at Diane, and she's on Highland, and that space is beautiful.
It's a wonderful gallery.
I love the compartments, the way she has it
Wonderful.
done.
And the work is very minimal there. And then the idea was
that's on canvas. So you went from these
Those
small...
are fiberglass.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, I was one of the people early on in plastics with Dwayne Valentine. We were out in Colorado.
Oh,
in those
is that
days.
when it started?
Sure. Well, it was in LA. It was like contemporaneous in a number of areas.
So those small tableaus were...
So it was about bringing subject matter and content back into the work. And I sort of reversed everything from saying less is more to more is more.
More is more,
which
because they're very packed.
Van der Rohe's dictum, you know.
Yeah,
and
they're packed.
So it was about more is more. And so I had multi-levels of meaning going on in them. And no, it was a contemporary concept out of art, people like Robe Goulet, about not having a narrative which started at one end to the other, but that you found yourself in the middle of a situation. And
in the middle
you would
of this...
explore it for meaning, you know, and there were various possible interpretations of what was going on.
Was it... Did you make them larger then?
They got larger all the way up to 4 by 4 and a foot high.
I remember those too.
Yes, and they're freestanding.
Did you build everything inside of them?
I made almost everything in all of them, yes, because was a little larger than dollhouse scale. So, and besides, they didn't make things like that I needed specifically to
yeah, because you were telling a story.
Yes, exactly.
So I see. So when did your work at that time, was it on canvas as well?
Well, I was painting a little bit, but not very much. That completely took me for about 15 years.
I know, because now when I saw these canvases and I see florals and Diane's show, and it's so different from
well,
what
beginning
I
in '91, I came back to painting, and because I always was I'm basically a painter, and I love painting, all kinds of painting. So I came back to painting, and then I surprised everyone that after the miniatures, that I'd be doing abstract painting again. But I love all kinds of painting, and I don't make those distinctions, you know.
Is it so abstract? I know Lily's After Dark.
Yes.
That painting.
Well, those come later, and they are more deliberately figurative, and you know the flowers.
But they're flowers.
Well, the idea is you know, I was shocked I even began to paint flowers. You know, it seemed like such a corny thing to do in the art world, but now a lot of people are painting flowers, it turns out.
But
you know.
Mapplethorpe was taking pictures of flowers.
So there were some. Dallas Sultan in New York was painting flowers, and
Right.
others, you know.
Right.
So some of that was going on with flowers, but you know, I couldn't stand painting flowers in graduate school or undergraduate school.
I bet.
You know, those old still lifes you had to do and that sort of thing. But I got the idea that they could be a kind of a scaffold which would hold
to
together all
hold-
kinds of other things, you know, like a galaxy of meaning, you know. And all the things from my abstract work could be in between the flowers, and you could enter a kind of the space of what my work and my mind is about.
And that's what the cover
That's what
of
is on
this-
the cover of the book,
The cover
yeah.
is, I see all these things that are intertwined.
Yeah, this is a new book. It just came out this year. So.
And it's painting and sculpture. And where does it
Yes.
start and where does it
It
end?
starts about 1965.
What
you
we're
know,
talking
there are
about.
a few earlier things in there, but the work starts about then, up to the present. And wonderful essays in there, you know, by Lita Berry and Howard Fox and Dan Cameron.
Fabulous.
So I'm
It's
thrilled with the
beautiful.
essays. And Mike McGee produced the book at Cal State Fullerton.
It's beautiful. But the thing that I'm listening to you talk and talking about the miniatures and talking about the little environments that you were creating, you're still creating those on the inside
Well, that's
of
what's
these
happening
flowers.
in these paintings too. Yes.
Isn't that right?
Yes, yes.
So let's talk about Lilies After Dark.
All right.
Tell me a little bit about it, because I have a JPEG of that.
Well,
to show.
at first in a lot of the paintings they were mixed flowers, and of course, the painting on the cover of the book is the earliest one of poppy. So it was a single flower that served
and then it went
the whole
into-
painting. But then I began to do mixed flowers. Then I came back to single flowers again, and Lilies After Dark really had to do with a series I wanted to be very quiet and meditative. So
it's very
not all the
dark
lilies are
background.
shown. They're shown at different times of day and different paintings. Lilies in the afternoon, lilies in the evening.
I see.
But the idea is that these paintings are very quiet.
And what's the name of this other, Bent Field?
Bent field. Well, that comes from the abstract work that is at Diane Rosenstein's right now, and those were large fields with a hexagon-like surface. You know, just totally minimal. But the idea was if I were going to empty out
Oh,
to
the
a
bent field. It's
well,
like
some of
that.
them, yeah, bent field. I actually warped one of those
Yes,
fields.
yeah.
But the surface has this tactility
You're
to
right,
it, you know.
yes.
So it actually works on the eyes. It doesn't just bend, but actually the surface itself vibrates a slight bit as you look at it.
And what is the surface?
It's all fiberglass.
It's all fiberglass.
It's done in
So
a
you've
mold.
gone back to fiberglass from
Well,
starting
those are
with the
early. Those are
user-
1965.
That bent field is 1965?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I didn't
Yeah, I was
know
doing all
that.
those minimal pieces in the 60s and the mid 60s. So
So they're like together in this show. It almost looks like
well,
a
the
retrospective.
floral paintings were earlier in the year. So they're not
Right.
in the show at all.
Oh, I see. They're just from the book.
Right,
I see. I
right,
see. I
right,
see.
yeah.
Oh, so that is a really back to basics kind of show she has.
Well, in a funny way, she's showing these different dimensions of my life because I'm one of these artists who has not just had one signature style,
I know.
but who's looked into a variety of things. There are many artists like me now today. It's like we feel we have many voices. There are many adventures. There are many exciting things to do, you know. And it's not just about one thing or just penetrating the one thing in depth. It's about looking at a number of things.
And now that you have so much time because you're retired, how many different things do you look at? Do other artists come in? Do you spend time talking about theories, or are you all on your own?
No, I have a great time. I have lunches with people. I don't go out a lot now. It's difficult for me to get around. But a lot of people come. I have people in for lunch every day.
And you discuss
And I have
art?
assistants working for me now, so we have like our own private little dialogue going on.
Yeah, that's
every
with the
day,
assistants and
every
with
day
people
about art. And I have so many art friends now, and a jillion former students who I dearly love,
Oh,
you know.
right.
And so I hear from them all the time. That's you know, it's great.
Well, I'm so happy you came to fill us in, and it's great to see you again.
Great to see you, Joan.
Thank you, Roland. And thank you for watching this part. We'll be right back with mezzo-soprano Julia Migenes. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping here at the Hollywood Museum, and we're celebrating with our high soprano, whom I called mezzo-soprano before, singer, performer Julia Migenes, who grew up on the Lower East Side, attended that prestigious high school of music and arts, and as a teenager, starred opposite Zero Mostel in Fiddler on the Roof. She was on Broadway. She sang at the Volksopera in Vienna, at the Met in New York, and at the Grand in Geneva, which was really a big influence on you, right? We're going to talk about that. So she went on with Grammy Awards and Golden Lions and Golden Mics and Golden Cameras. And she's at the Odyssey Theater right now singing Kurt Weill. So you performed in Salome in Geneva.
Yes, with Béjart. Maurice Béjart was he's a great choreographer, and he directed the opera.
But that then led to this film that you did.
Yes, well, yeah, because they were looking for Carmen, and he was a great friend with the producer, Toscan Duplantier. And what happened was they were sitting at dinner, and it's because I had just sung Lulu at the Met.
Oh, you had just sung Lulu.
Lulu at the Met, you see. And so I jumped in for Teresa Stratus. I had never sung it before, but I worked on it 1 year. And when I sang it, it was just like singer perfect. So they heard about that, and then I did Salome, you see. Béjart took me for Salome.
I see,
but I had had a huge career in Germany and Austria before that.
But all in the opera, all on opera,
Yeah.
all in opera, all on the stage.
Yes.
Nothing like you're doing now at the Odyssey where you're alone.
Oh, I've done concerts, many, many concerts, only because when my kids got to a certain age and I couldn't travel with them anymore, I said, I'm not going to be away for, 2 months in an opera house. So I started doing a lot of concerts. But I mostly like being, really on stage. I mean, I was singing Covent Garden, Manon. I took my whole family with me. When I did Carmen, I took my whole family with me. It was like really, to be a mother at the same time as the breadwinner.
I didn't realize that you had had such an opera career.
Of course. I already sang as a teenager with Giancarlo Menotti in the St. of Bleecker Street, where it's Annina, and she has all these arias, and I'm a teenager. I sang with Bernstein with the Philharmonic in my teens.
And then that's when you were on Broadway as a
then
teenager,
yes,
right? Were
Broadway,
you there?
yeah. So I learned from being on stage with geniuses.
Really?
Jerome Robbins.
I know.
I mean, geniuses,
But
very
so
young.
You were very young, so you were really absorbing everything.
Yes.
And
it was on stage. It wasn't like I was studying.
no,
It
that's
was
different.
on stage.
But how did you change from opera to, say, musical theater?
Always before
Was it?
Of course, West Side Story was already. At the same time I was singing with Giancarlo Menotti, St. of the Bleecker Street, I was singing on Broadway. I was singing, I did West Side Story. I love to dance. I always say, okay, so I'm married to my voice, but my lover is dance.
Is that right? So you took all those classes, though, at your high school?
No, not at... The thing is, it wasn't really, what happened was, you want to really know the story?
Yeah, I really want to know.
Okay, the slums of New York, really the slums of New York, and on the corner there's a little dancing school. A little dancing school that took all the poor kids, and we didn't have to pay because I had curly hair and I danced and sing.
And you were little, and
I was little. And at 3, my family hears a knock on the door because we're down the road, and the little kid in Madame Butterfly was sick, and it was early evening, and they came and, can we take your daughter?
The little kid, the little
yes,
boy,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
taking your daughter.
Yes, so they took me, to, I don't think it was the Met, and I was sound asleep. I'm 3 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And they put a wig on and a kimono, and I'm thinking, this thing doesn't fit, but I won't tell anybody. And then, I'm hearing this music and these voices, and he brings the side of the curtain. He says, "You see that woman?" I go, "Yeah." And he goes, 3 years old, just woke up. Run to her and say, "Mama, mama, mama."
Oh, they gave you words too?
Yeah, "Mama, mama, mama." So I go, and I go, "Mama, mama," and I see a well with eye makeup streaming down because she is sweating so much.
Oh my gosh.
And she
a
had
whale?
A whale. And she had toothpicks in her hair that went like that. And she had a beehive on her head. I mean, I'm hallucinating. And she's at the moment where Cho-Cho-san sings hysterically, "E questo, e questo," like this.
And you're like...
No, I went,
You did?
I started screaming. I
Oh,
started
that's so
screaming.
funny.
So she had to sing the whole aria with me in her arms.
So she
And
grabbed you?
Yes, but I'm screaming in her ear. I'm screaming like this. And then she sort of like drop kicks me off the stage after her aria practically. And they promised me ice cream, everything, whatever. So I go back on stage at the end.
Oh, you do again?
Of course. He goes at the end when she commits suicide.
Oh, right.
So,
and he takes the boy?
Oh no, but it was most beautiful because what happened was since I'm small, I have to. She sings this aria, which is, look in your mother's eyes so that you do not forget her. So
right.
that you, and it was such love, and I was transfixed. So she sits me, and she says, "Take these little flags and do this." And the thing that's most amazing was, I'm so small that I only saw the lights, but I didn't see the musicians. I didn't see the conductor. And it was waves of music coming at me. And it's a genius, Puccini. So it went, dee-da-da-da. It was magical. And from then I did all the kids in all the operas. By the time I was in my early teens, I could sing with a soprano voice.
Isn't that...
Then I went to Vienna and I sang for 10 years, every role. And I had my own, what did I have? I had my own TV show in Germany where everything.
That was fantastic.
Then after that was Lulu and Germany and Salome and then Carmen.
The movie.
Yes.
Carmen the movie. And then in between, there's like 30 CDs and DVDs.
Yeah, just what you do over and over again.
It's just what you do over and over? When do you have time to do those things? In
between. It's a singer's life.
And then you have to learn everything with the accents, right? So you have a coach.
Well, when with Carmen, it was, I had the greatest coach, Roland Reiss, because I had never sung in French. But they had auditioned 300 girls, and they couldn't find a Carmen, except Maurice Béjart was sitting with the producer, and he said, you know, the only one who could do it is Julia Migenes, because she can dance, she can act.
And he knew about dancing. He had his own company.
He's a choreographer.
The Béjart, Béjart Ballet Company.
It was brilliant, yeah.
And then we've talked about all these roles you've done, all the singing you've done, all the CDs. How do you keep your voice?
3 books. One is by a German scientist called Husler. Another one is by a great, great German singer in 1902 at the end of her career where she was still singing like a goddess.
So you read those?
Lily Lehmann. No, they're real techniques. The real technique about how to keep your voice.
Oh, so you've learned those
I
things.
correct my voice with that because it's the old techniques which are the ones.
Well, they lasted a long time, didn't they, those people? So I saw you in Diva on the Verge. I saw you in the, Human Voice. How do you say it in French?
La Voix Humaine.
Oh, that was so great.
Thank you.
You sang for an hour and a half.
Yeah. No, it's an hour, actually. I just did it in Germany with the most amazing young director from Iceland, Törlifur Annarsson. But brilliant.
How do you keep that going? You do it so many times a week, right?
No, in opera you sing maybe twice.
Oh, so that you don't have to do. Oh, I see. And the other one, Diva on the Verge?
Diva on the same thing, like 2 days in between. Very rare. Once in a while, maybe one after another, but that's very difficult.
Oh, I didn't know that you took time. I thought it was like on the stage where you, I mean, on theater where you just went.
It's physically impossible.
One of the other things that I wanted to talk to you about, because you had this great, before we get into the Kurt Weill, this story about singing with Mahagoni And,
Oh, yeah.
And La Lenya came
Well,
back.
yeah, I sang Mahogany twice, actually. Once in Vienna, where I was 8 months pregnant. So I'm singing the role of a prostitute, 8 months pregnant. So I never turned sideways, because I carried like this.
Straight in front.
And yes, right in here. And then I sang it at the Met Opera, Lenya was there, and she came back with a rose. And I mean, I've won like the Edison Prize for the recording of Seven Deadly Sins with Michael Tilson Thomas, and I was like so proud of that. But to get a rose from Lotte Lenya,
And that's and it was she was the one who sang the Weill songs, right?
all of them. She had an affair with Brecht and with Kurt Weill, and the joke between one was, I'll lend you Lotte.
Alenia Lotte.
I'll lend you
Oh,
Lotte.
I'll lend you Lotte. Well, they did well with her, didn't they?
Yeah.
They both did well with her. So tell us a little bit about the show at the Odyssey.
The thing is I was doing this show. I started doing it in the Châtelet in Paris in February.
Oh, you just this February?
Yes,
Oh.
and that was constructed. We put it together for the Châtelet, and now we're starting to do it again in November in France. And I haven't sung it since then. And the luck happened that Beth Hogan called me and she said, "Do you have anything you can do at the Odyssey? We just lost Stephen Burkoff, who was going to do something. You got to film, and we have this time for you." And I said, "That comes so in handy. I can do it here." It's a lot of words. It's in German, French, and English, and it just really, I can't just jump into it
to go over there. So this is like
yeah, it's like
almost
like
a rehearsal.
Yes, it's a great rehearsal in front of an audience.
It's a real rehearsal.
Yes.
Who's directing you?
Not really, but I will have you see, my fourth ex-husband. He'll come and
He is now.
Yeah, of
is
course.
he?
Of my fourth ex, yeah. And they're all four in a satellite, but this one came down.
Medic?
Peter Medic.
Peter Medic.
But basically, it's more the lighting and stuff.
Right.
And he, we may be divorced, and there are issues, etc. But there are never any issues when it comes to our art.
To
Never.
Professionalism. He's professional. You're professional.
Yes, and we agree on so many
I was
going to
say you can trust him.
Yeah. I can say, should I do this? Because usually I am my own motor.
But so who wrote the script? Do you talk in between?
No, this I'll just talk, because the one I did in the Châtelet is with one of their most brilliant concert pianists. And so he was, Bruno Fontaine is somebody who
You won't have a pianist?
I will have a wonderful pianist, but she's not a famous concert pianist.
I see.
But still she has, I'm only choosing her because I really love the way she accompanies and love the way she plays. She's Japanese. Mitsuku Mori, I forgot.
You don't have to speak Japanese in this, right? French, German?
Yeah, French, German, and English. But I'll be putting it together very more sort of relaxed for this probably, because that one was very intense.
What will you wear?
I don't even know. Do you know what I mean? Because I wore that. In any case, this is a thing of all black. And
I know.
Because I want to stay Brecht. I want to stay the oldest style possible, the real style,
Well, I think we have to see it before it goes to where next?
It goes to France in, where am I
That's
going?
okay, France, and then when?
Yeah, and
where?
then it will go to Germany, and then it goes to Iceland, and then it goes to,
I'm so glad, Julia. I've been wanting to see you and have you on the show for years and years, so thank you.
It's a great pleasure.
Thank you, and thanks for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles. Write to JAQUINN1 at AOL.com.